Hello, my name is Midshipman Christopher Viggiano. During my second sailing period, I sailed on the MV Endurance, which is a ro-ro vessel ran by the American Roll-On Roll-Off Company. I also sailed on the Maersk Tennessee, which is a container vessel. Starting with cargo, we could see a straddle carrier bringing a container from the ship to its stowage position in the port of Norfolk. Many of the ports I visited use straddle carriers to transfer containers. However, ports such as Houston use trucks to transport containers. This drastically slowed loading and discharging operations, causing the vessel to stay in port for longer periods of time. A major device used to secure cargo on the Maersk Tennessee were twist locks. The Maersk Tennessee carried various forms of twist locks, including semi-automatic twist locks, stacker cones, J-hooks, and base locks. Inspection of the twist locks were done quarterly during the coastwise voyage from Norfolk to Houston, Texas. Below deck, cell guides were used to guide containers into place, while stacker cones went in between containers for additional security. However, above deck, base locks were placed in the corner castings of the hatch cover to allow the first tier of containers to be loaded. From there, semi-automatic twist locks were placed between containers to secure them in place. Once the containers were secure, the longshoreman would secure the lashing rods to the top of the first tier container quarter castings and to the bottom of the second tier container quarter castings. If done properly, the container should be secured in place from all 6 motions of the vessel. Before arriving in port, the chief mate of the Maersk Tennessee would have us do a round of all the hatch covers to ensure the sliders were disengaged. These sliders help hold the hatch covers in place when the vessel is underway. Switching to the MV Endurance, we could see a V-22 Boeing Osprey being loaded onto Deck 4. These Ospreys are loaded via the stern ramp and then are lashed down by the military members who come aboard. These military members would consult with the chief mate on how to secure the Ospreys, which entailed using a total of 42 chain lashings, with 3 chain lashings going to 1 D-ring on deck. Beginning with seamanship, we could see the Maersk Tennessee letting go of her starboard anchor. On the Tennessee, the chief mate would begin by walking the anchor to the water's edge. Then he would let go of the anchor and stop it shot by shot. It was very difficult to spot the shots as much of the paint had flaked off of the chain. However, by shot 7, the paint was still intact. The Maersk Tennessee utilized a hydraulic brake, which is much more effective and safer compared to the large manual wheel brake on board the MV Endurance. Looking at the mooring arrangement, the MV Endurance's stern ramp was positioned on the starboard side of the vessel. Therefore, the Endurance always moored starboard side too. On board both the Maersk Tennessee and the MV Endurance, the first lines sent out were the spring lines. These lines were the most important as they held the vessel in place and kept her from shifting forward or aft. I was stationed mainly at the stern mooring, so the next line sent out were the inshore stern lines, then followed by the offshore stern lines. All of these lines would be sent to the pier via a heaving line and pulled to the bollard via the longshoreman. Once the eye was placed over the bollard, the mate would then come up on the winch until the line was tensioned. The Maersk Tennessee had auto-tensioning winches, while the MV Endurance did not. During my time aboard the MV Endurance, I was able to enter the aft peak tank with the chief mate. This is an annual inspection done to look at the overall integrity of the tank, including its structural members, sacrificial zinc anodes, and sounding tubes. Before entering the tank, the chief mate briefed myself and other members on the task and had to sign a form to ensure we understood. The form also stated that the chief mate ventilated the space for over 24 hours and was getting a reading of 21% oxygen content. I was fitted with a harness, a flashlight, a UHF radio, an oxygen sensor, and an alarm that would sound if I stopped moving for more than 5 seconds. For further safety, the third mate was standing outside of the tank and checking in frequently via a UHF radio. Upon entering the tank, it was apparent that it was not in good condition. Rust covered the entirety of the tank, with many of the welds and structural members beginning to flake. Additionally, the zinc anodes were almost completely gone, and the sounding tube had a large hole that could cause error in the readings. Thankfully, the MV Endurance was being retired within the year.